What was right?
Cool, yeah, Tim is just setting up the technique, getting ready like the stream, but otherwise we already can start. Yeah, cool, thanks for coming, right? So today's quick workshop should be very interactive. It's about how you can squeeze the most out of your pictures, especially when it comes to smartphone photography, because that's what most people have and utilize and stuff, right? And I prepared like a quick short presentation, but it should be very interactive, right? I'm going to show that Tim is ready like the agenda of what I'm going to cover, what I'm not going to cover, but we can in the meanwhile do like a quick mini introduction. I'm like some people I know, some people I don't know so much. So I'm Fritz, 29 years old, German, and living here in Barcelona for close to 2 years. Was working in sales a lot, have an engineering background and studied detention and management, but I really like photography a lot. So I did some weddings, I did some portraitures, all kind of things. Street photography, quite a mixed bag, but just do it because it's a lot of fun. Yeah, would you like to know anything more?
What brought you to photography? Maybe in brief.
What project?
What brought you to?
What brought me? So I was always a little bit the picture guy. I had started with a point and shoot, like a small compact camera in my pocket, and tried to make some pictures, you know, without any thought, without any editing, just throw it on Facebook and such. And then I got a GoPro because I did study abroad in Cyprus during Erasmus, and I thought like it would be nice to capture some videos. So I did the pictures with that, and my first camera, like a proper DSLR camera, I bought here in Barcelona in 2015. Like a friend of mine came over, he is quite a experienced photographer, like I would call him semi-professional. He can charge some decent amount for his work and has very good quality. And he taught me a lot, like what camera to buy, and like some things. So I had a quite steep learning curve because I was, let's call it mentoring, right? So this got me into the photography. I always liking pictures with the phone, and then like taking a little bit more serious. And then when I started like my masters in 2015, I was studying economics, and there are a lot of beautiful girls, and like so I had always like some peers and friends I could photograph and train photography on. Yeah, that's it. Flo, you want to introduce yourself real quick, like we just your name and like I don't know, anything you want to tell us?
He doesn't know me. It's okay. Yeah, I'm Flo. I'm living life. Yeah, and I'm just enjoying the city every moment.
Oh yeah, and tell everybody should tell like what they like in photography, what kind of
cool thing,
topic, and what they think their skill level is. Without judgment, but like if somebody is like developing film in their basement for over 15 years, you know, I don't want to teach them, you know.
That's a good point. Yeah. So I actually
you're true.
When you remember these moments in your life which are special to you, do you want to see them on a picture?
I don't know, no. I take pictures more so for other people so they can see it. But like, I'd have to take so many pictures if I was taking pictures in the last 3 months. But I don't believe in photography anymore.
It seems like it should be a separate workshop.
Photography, do you believe or not?
You get some perspective to that. That's good.
Well, I'm Amin, 27 years old. I was born in Morocco. I grew up there. Now I'm living in France. I'm a friend of Flo. I came here to visit him. I'm going back in Lyon next Monday. I never made a good picture in my life, so whatever you teach me here, it's a bonus for me. So I'm open-minded. I'm interested about everything. So that's it.
My name is Elsie. I'm 26. I'm from France. I think I've always loved like photos and videos a lot. It's like my favorite form of art. And I collect old cameras, and I wish I would have the time to use them, but I didn't, unfortunately. But like I brought my Polaroid here to do that. And yeah, I think I have something like similar to what Colin said, like about the memories. Like I feel I live so many intense moments in my life, and I wish I could kind of keep them with me forever. So I think that's why it's my favorite form of art.
Okay, hi. My name is Jen. I'm from Brighton. What brought me to Barcelona? Probably the same thing that brought everyone to Barcelona. But for me, one of the things was art and definitely creative thing. Actually, I came here the first time and I was like, oh, wow. What else? And I would like to learn if my photos are any good or not. Like that.
Wow.
So I take photos and I would like to improve.
Okay.
Because I think they could be.
Cool.
Yeah, yes, that.
Hi, my name is Catherine, 25. I was always fascinated by photography. When I was 12, I really wanted to maybe become a photographer, and I wanted to get a camera. And for some reason, I thought I need the best camera. So obviously, my parents didn't buy me the best camera, and I just maybe forgot about this, and I was not. I didn't have discipline to learn stuff. I thought I know everything already. So I would take occasional pictures on my phone, and I think I'm good at that. But I was traveling for 2 years before, so I had a phone for $200, and it made amazing pictures. So I think you don't need much to make good pictures or to do what you love. So I want to learn more of what angle to take. Food pictures, very important.
Okay.
And also what light and all this, science or about photography, because I want to develop my brand, and I want to make perfect pictures so people would love it. Also, one question. Some people are doing Instagram and they put the same filters on every picture, so I want to know more of your tips on how to filter pictures and how to make your content,
Streamlined or like look similar that you have like
looks
one.
similar. Like sometimes I can take a picture of my food and then about my dog and then about my family and then I'm traveling. But if I'm doing my Instagram, I want all the pictures to be like dog pictures, for example.
Makes sense.
So maybe you can tell a little bit about that.
I think we have an Instagram killer coming like the other day, right, Tim? I don't know who is that. That is. But I'm like, sure, I can try to cover that, right? I'm super ready. Tim, I don't know how about you?
Everything's running. You're
Yeah,
good.
good.
You forgot.
Everything's
You
cool.
forgot someone, no?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm an asshole.
That's what I get for being No, my roommate is like, you left the door open, is everything?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, good. I'm Renata. I've been shooting in a DSLR for 3 years now. And I've taken some basic photography courses, but I'd like to take it a little beyond into more of the creative side and get different angles, especially with urban photography, because well, I lived in Alaska for a very long time, so panoramic landscape photography I feel very comfortable with, but in here, urban photography is kicking my ass. I don't know how to make it look good. So that's more the angle I'm coming from.
Alright, cool. Sounds good. Yeah, beautiful. So, yeah, thanks guys for the ideas. I think I got a good idea what you try to achieve. Like some people are more in photographing people, some more into some architectural sites and urban areas and such. Right, cool. Let's try to cover most of the things. Tim, yeah, put on the next slide. Please, if you're there. Put on the next slide, please.
There is no
Yeah, you said I should tell you, right?
I don't know. I just like check this out.
Dude, I will skim through the slides like a machine.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So quick agenda. I don't want to spend so much time actually on talking, because like photography is something I believe like you learn like while doing photography, right? Otherwise it doesn't make sense. But I still wanted to make a presentation because like it's about pictures, so you see pictures, right? First I'm going to start with like what are the limitations of a phone camera, because there are simply some, right? I mean, some people always say like gear doesn't matter, but it does, right? It doesn't mean that you can take with an awesome, beautiful camera always amazing images. That's not what it means, but it means that, for example, in very dark environments, like a phone just cannot do, because like the sensor size is very small and the lens is very small. It's just like physics, and you cannot just obey the law of physics, right? And right, but like you can mitigate some of these issues. So we will talk first about limitations of the phone camera, then how to counter those. What makes a photo? Then we go into the Colin philosophical route. You know, what is why do we even live and breathe and stuff? kidding, right? Then we have some basic rules of composition. Look, photography is something really, really subjective. A picture you love, I hate, or the other way around, or something, right? But there are some basic rules of composition some people came up with at some point. And it's good to have an understanding of the rules, because once you understand them, you can also break them. But once you do stuff, you can do it more purposefully, right? So we try to give you a framework. If you like it, you use it. If you don't like it, you don't use it. But it's nice to know that it's existing, right? And one rules of photography sounds like, okay, now I have to do this, or like we're not here in like Germany and they do the rules, you know. But like just to have an understanding, right? And what I try to focus on is photographing people, because like a lot of people like to photograph people. And when it comes to photographing people with a phone, I think it's totally valid and totally perfectly fine to do this with a phone. You didn't need a DSLR for a lot of reasons. But a lot of people do some issues I often see in images. For example, the angles, do's and don'ts, quality of light. I have a quick setup with like shine through and like some LED stripes. I would like to ask like one person sitting here, and I'm just explaining a little bit of light, you know, nothing crazy. And then we have like an interactive part where yeah, exactly, I show like a little bit of light here, and then we go out and walk around a bit. Paired with two people, I'm going to tell you that later. And after we did this assignment, everybody posted pictures into a WhatsApp group, and then we review them together on the big screen, give each other feedback, what we like, what we hate, and then, you know, we can all be happy or sad, you know. So, sounds good?
Yes.
Cool. Hit it. Ah yeah, and the whole thing should be interactive. Right? Always Q&A, right? I know I already have heard some questions. Maybe wait, maybe it's coming, you know, at some point. But otherwise, just interrupt, right? So the best camera is the one you have with you, right? Super big cliche, but kind of very true. And you probably often carry your phone more often around than your DSLR, right? Like club-wise and anything. So, what are the limitations? Smartphones cameras struggle in low light. It's just how it is, you know. You cannot make the dark night make look beautiful, bright, you know. It only has one focal length. So what that means is like the angle of view is fixed. You can zoom a little bit digitally, and yes, cameras of 2000 and like nowadays have sometimes like a wider angle, but usually you cannot zoom or you do not adapt lenses, right? That's a limitation you have to work with. It doesn't give you a real bokeh, like a depth of field. You see that in the image, that the hand is sharp and focused and the Eiffel Tower is like getting blurry. This is also like a thing you achieve with great optics and a camera sensor and such. Yes, it's already existing that a phone uses depth mapping and simulates this kind of effect, but often at the corners you simulate shitty. It's simulated.
But is this effect physically
yes,
happening through the distance between lens and zoom, like lens and the inner lens?
it has a lot of couple of influences. It's like the distance from the camera to the subject, and the focal
that we
length.
have on the phone as well. So
yeah.
that we have on the phone as well.
Exactly.
So
I'm like, you can get real bokeh if you get really close, like with your phone, right? But that's like 5 centimeters or so. But from this distance, you cannot take a portrait or something. So the bokeh, the real one from
that's
the
why I
phone.
want to ask you, where is this effect coming from? Is that the distance between the outer and the inner lens? Because on a camera it's like, let's say, a few centimeters.
Yes.
And on the phone it's like, I don't know, millimeters.
Yes, it's the sensor size.
Yeah.
One big influence, like full frame crop cameras like this size, and the phone sensors this size, and also the light gathering capabilities of the lens itself. It's like how much light it lets in, right? And then the third aspect is the viewing angle. If it's very zoomed, it's rather having like more focal length, more blur, and the distance from the camera to the person or the subject photographing, and then the background again. So it's like 4 to 5 things which influences like how much depth of field you're having, right? But in general, you have more with a rear camera. Okay, just join. Hi there. Yeah, so some countermeasures you can do, right? I'm like, you cannot do a lot of things, but you could, for example, add some light, because like what is photography is like playing with light, you know, with photons, and when there are none, you know, you just cannot take pictures, especially not with the phone. And then how to mitigate the issue that you cannot zoom, like without a big loss in quality. You just use your feet as a zoom. You get closer and further away from the subject. Sounds very obvious, but like I see a lot of people taking a picture and there's a lot of empty space around the subject, and it doesn't have to be there, to be honest. And then use other means of separation, right? So if you want to get like a blurry background, usually you try to do this in order to separate the subject you're photographing, because it gives A, the professional look, and B, it focuses the attention to the person, right? This is why you often do that. And you could do this separation also by other means. For example, if the background has a different brightness level, if it's way brighter, then you do something like a high key image, looks good in a wedding album, or you do something way darker, right? And then the subject stands out, even though the depth of field is not, if it's really big. Even if the background is sharp, but it's way darker, you can have the separation. Or some edge light, right? We're gonna cover that. Right, Tim? Tim is in the kitchen. I can just give me the mouse, dude, right? All right. Another one. A tripod you can use in order to gather more light, so you can do long exposure. So that's the only thing you can do to do like some night photography. Some apps, some camera manufacturers give you the option to
do you suggest, like, is the original iPhone app shit, or do you suggest?
I don't use iPhone personally, but I think the iPhone app for photography is good enough. right? I wouldn't use a different one, right? But like if you need like the option to expose the image like for 2 minutes or 1 minute or so, you maybe need another app. Yeah. Yep. So before you click one more time, what makes a good photo? Into the audience.
I love photos.
I love photos, right?
I love it.
Dada, what do you think? What makes a good photo?
Composition.
Okay.
Yeah.
You wanna elaborate on that? Or?
A well-balanced photo. Something that is compelling, like her eyes.
Okay.
The photo is very good.
Yeah. See what kind of exciting.
Balance of light.
The colors too. How to contrast them.
But also any kind of photo, not only a portrait, but anything you can imagine. Any other ideas?
Light.
Huh?
Good light.
Good light, yeah.
A striking photo. So something like something maybe shocking or something
Okay.
that's like stands out or like Tyler said, like an image of this girl with her eyes.
Yeah.
It's very shocking, no? So it's like, or like you see something in the street that's
Like how do you generate that? What you just said? Like
I don't know. For me, it just comes when I see something and it's okay, it's cool. But then when I see something cool, it's usually I can't describe it.
All right. So like a moment, something going on.
Yeah. I would argue though that there's pictures of really mundane things that are awesome.
Yeah.
Just because of the angles that they put or the light, or taking a new perspective that you've never really seen before. Like
Yeah.
it could be photographed in this route.
True. Yeah. Pretty much everything you said. Because like it's really difficult to define what makes a good photo. Just click one more time. So I just googled it and like there are some things which came up. Composition was named, light was named, timing, maybe I put it in what you just said, Jam, right? The time of the street. Story is a big one, exactly, and also like the image processing. So there's a lot of things which go into a good image. For example, you could take with a potato a very blurry, shitty image, from a technical point of view, but it's your firstborn child, and it was like so super difficult and tragic to get this in a stable somewhere in the forest, without light and something like this, and you're super happy, so it's really emotional for you. Technically it's a shitty image, but is it a good image? Yes, for sure, for you, right? So it's really hard to define, right? Right, let's hit the next slide, please. Yeah, let's talk about composition a bit, right? So in this example, the subject matter is a dog, and if you're the average, it's called the average person, you're just taking a picture how you see it, right? You hold your phone usually at this height, like somewhere between eyes and your navel, like somewhat like this, and take a picture of the subject you want to photograph. However, if you really put the effort in and lean down even on the eyes level, right, of the subject, you can capture much more environment. Doesn't matter if it's blurry or not, or if it's super sharp or something, but you can take the very nice picture with the phone as well, right? Same for people, same for children, like subject level.
All the pictures in the presentation were taken from a phone?
No, those pictures are just me googling, like in 20 minutes, like putting a slideshow together. No, this one is definitely with the DSLR. She's even holding it, right? It's not my pictures, and I put the source into the presentation as well, right? No, I could have, but I was lazy. Right, Tim, hit the next one. Foreground, background. Like, we have some German speakers here, but like, there's a German rhyme which says, Vordergrund macht Bild gesund. So foreground makes the build healthy, the picture healthy. So what does it mean? You have a beautiful scenery. You go very close over the rail, take a picture. That's what 99% of the people do. Just take the picture of the scene, anything like a boat or a castle or anything. However, it could be much more interesting if you put some foreground elements into the image. For example, the rail over there, that's something like leading line going from a diagonal and kind of like drawing you into the image and giving it a little bit more depth. Or here you kind of like put some maritime elements of the sailing ship on it, so you really show that you're really on a ship and not somewhere near the water only. Or you frame your subject in something else and you give like some unusual perspective. You can do a lot of things like this. For example, it's called natural framing. If you shoot an image through a natural frame, this natural frame can be given by greenery or like a tree or an arc like humans build or anything, and that can increase like a little bit of interest in the image. Right? Decent? Yeah? Satisfying, right? Alright, let's hit the next one, Tim. Sense of size. If you photograph something which is a little bit abstract or can be misinterpreted by your brain, it's nice to put something in like compared to the size, you know? Even if you photograph a big dog and you're like, wow, this dog is the biggest dog I've ever seen, it looks more impressive if you put something next to it what people can have a reference point to.
Did you Photoshop it?
Me? I stole all the images from those websites. So
Photoshop.
Could be, right? But like here, I don't know. It could be to me many different sizes. I don't know, like a huge puddle. But here you see, wow.
Yeah.
Someone like falls by. Like, yeah, Tim. Golden ratio. I think that's one of the biggest and overhyped things and rules and blah. Because some people are very creative. Do you know about the golden ratios? Yeah. Can somebody give me like a
Fibonacci sequence, and it occurs all over in nature.
Yeah.
It's like the sum of the two sides of the square rotated around.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like what you said. It's very common in nature. It's one of those natural things. Everything like frames up, right? Like broccoli or something grows like this, or sunflowers and everything. And for that particular reason, people say that it looks very pleasing to us if we frame up our image like this. But in order to make it a little bit more easy, you don't have to draw always like a huge snail over your images. It's almost like 2 to 3, right? So if you put them on a rule of thirds, it's close enough. This is why it's nice. This image, for example, you have like a leading line, like a diagonal represented by the wave, and the guy is not centered, he's a little bit slightly off. And in those images as well. Like, what often looks good in photographing landscapes, if you do not put the horizon directly dead center middle, but like 2/3 sky, because it's more interesting than the water side, for example. But I just showed like 3 very different images, so you see that the rule of thirds and golden ratios very present in a lot of shots.
So why do you find that more lazy?
Like, it's like what people argue, you know. I'm also not like super satisfied with this we spiritual explanation, you know, because I'm very logical thinking. But like because if you look at, for example, a human person or something, like the nose has like golden ratio to like you find it everywhere. My arms are like in golden ratio to something else, and you can make up those connections a lot.
It makes sense if you like evolutionary develop to see nature. Only these kind of ratios in nature, it makes sense that we're more pleased to watch these kind of pictures.
Could be. But I just wanted to give you an example. But I'm done.
There's several books on the subject. It gets really deep.
Like all the was it Darren Brown? Is it his name? Like the the author of Inferno. Anyhow, like yeah, exactly. Like the Illuminati is full of the golden ratio and shit, you know. Alright, cool. Tim, can you hit the next slide, please? Sure. Thank you. So symmetry. So I'm like, all rules are there to be broken, but like sometimes it looks very nice to make something symmetrical, and sometimes like some very diagonal lines look very pleasing. What often doesn't look very pleasing if you do something in between. For example, if I'm standing in front of a store, I try to photograph it because I really like it. I try to center up very, very centered to take a nice shot. Or if I want to have it on an angle, I go rather steep on an angle and take a shot like this. What I try to avoid, that I go slightly off center, because then all the leading lines are a little bit disformed and like it doesn't look very purposefully with intent. So I try to either or, but nothing so much in between. So I try to do this. Yeah? Tim? So the angle, that's more related to phone photography. Phone photography is a little bit wider, and no, this is definitely not photography with a phone, just from the depth of field. So you have 3 women, one like very short on, how beautiful, one is shot like neutral angle, I would say, right? When you're having a phone, it's usually rather wide angle. So if you're photographing straight at somebody, you should go on middle of the body, like navel height, and take a picture.
With a camera.
Yeah, with a camera. Because like if I'm photographing you standing up and I take a picture, I usually photograph a little bit down, right? And you see the different effects. I just wanted to point it out, and for some specific reasons you might choose or not to choose shooting on an angle, but you should aware like for the effects what they can have. For example, if you're shooting down on somebody looks smaller and maybe more petite and maybe more fragile. If it's a very pretty girl and you want to create this emotion, do it, right? If you rather take a picture up on somebody, you show him a more like a dominant position. He's a little bit taller and he is a little bit more maybe confident even, right? So you can play with this even to your advantage, right? But for example, if you want to photograph somebody in a dress and a suit and want to show him confident, but photograph down on him because he's just smaller, it's kind of content-defeating the purpose, and you're kind of like shooting yourself in the foot. So always think about the angle when you do it, and if you're not sure, try to photograph like on like a neutral.
And the left picture is made on navel height.
The left one.
Yeah.
The left one is more with a telephoto camera, and because it's telephoto, like telephoto zoom, a lot of zoom, so you're far away from the subject.
That's really.
If I'm fairly far away from you and you're like at the end of the room, the angle of me doesn't make a big difference, like, right? But if I'm very close to you, right, like now I'm down.
What is close? What is far? Where is
that's
that?
very relative. But like if you take your phone and you fill the frame.
Let's say that the side of the room, like if I stand there, you take a picture of me at navel height.
That's far. That doesn't make it such a difference. But if you just stand up, like right now, you 100% fill the frame.
Really?
Right now, right from this distance. I take a picture now, like from somewhere like penis height or something, and like my eye level, and like maybe fairly down. For sure, not the best images I ever took, but like you can have a look how you perceive yourself. Once you look like a dwarf, once you look like a tall dude, and once you look, that's kind of neutral.
That's cool. I just
pass it around. I'm like, yeah. So that's something I see a lot of people do in phone photography, and sometimes I think, okay, maybe they did it on purpose, maybe not. But just like just have an idea that this is something crucial, right? Okay. So, how to photograph people, do's and don'ts. I just copied my favorite. Yeah, I just copied my favorite things out of one blog post together. So, leave out unnecessary details. I see that often also people doing like just photographing people, but like step in the extra centimeters of crop and pose, but better for quality-wise, just already eliminate like the empty space which is not guiding you to tell your story, right? Because if you look at 11, the tighter the cropping, the bigger the drama, right? If I take pictures of like a couple, for example, with my DSLR, and I take those images really close, like people usually really like that because it really shows the emotions and such. So, but you still can do that with your phone or just walking close up to people. Don't cut off limbs and add joints. Yeah, it's a little bit self-explanatory. Here's like some guidelines how you can cut it. Because people wear hats, we're usually accommodated to see people without the top part of the hair. So if you want to crop into the portrait orientation, you can crop off like the first 2, 3, 4, 5 centimeters of the hat. It doesn't look weird. But if you cut into the chin, that looks weird. It just really looks weird. I don't have to show that, but like if you do this, it looks odd. But if you cut in here, fine.
I have a question. I like to cut before eyebrows, so like I leave eyebrows, but I cut the chin.
If it's really intimate and close, fine. But like but you know what I mean? Like there are some points it's rather not pleasing, and some points it's fine. You know, they're just something you have to be aware of. For example, if you take a photo and like the ears half off, it looks weird. But if the top part is not, it doesn't look weird. Just play around, take a picture of somebody and crop it a bit, and sometimes he looks like an amputee and sometimes not. You know.
What does it depend on?
Say what?
What does it depend on?
Yeah, where you cut it. For example, if you cut it directly at the joints, here or here, it looks weird. If you take a picture of me and it ends here, it looks a bit weird, right? If you cut it and the feet is halfway cut, it looks really unpurposefully. But if you leave 5 centimeters, it's fine. But if you cut it a lot. Cut it like here, you know, cut it somewhere in the middle of the legs or something, or up at the waist. But don't just, there's a picture of the royal wedding of, what's his name? Is it Prince Harry? No.
Harry and Meghan.
Yeah, Meghan, Meghan from Suits. Does somebody know this? Yeah, and Harry. So there's a wedding picture which kind of like went into the press, and he's leaning like this, and the picture is cutting off his arm, right? And somebody is like giving like some very bad feedback. And you know, if you're the royal wedding photographer, you know, you shouldn't cut fucking off the hand of the prince, you know, in my opinion, you know. But like, I haven't shot too many royal weddings yet.
What is these pictures on the right? Are they all right?
That's all right, you know. Yeah. Wrong would be like chin or some other parts. And exactly, crop in camera to save time and quality, right? If you already communicate to get close to your subject and make the right frame before you go home on your computer or on your phone to edit it, you save yourself time and maybe think a little bit better about the composition. So, direction and quality of light. Let's talk about hard light and soft light, because I know that the workshop is called how to get the best pictures out of your phone, you know, but I cannot do magic, you know, with my magic fingers or something. It's more about, you can take better pictures if you see light better. It's how it is, and if you see and position your subject in a better light, or put some light, that's how it is. And this should help you a little bit. Can somebody tell me what he understands of soft light and hard light? Yeah?
Wait, I'll get something.
Yeah, just make something up.
Like, well, from the pictures, it would seem as soft light is bright gray, like a white gray.
Okay.
And it's just like, I'm not sure of the word in English.
I think it's the focus of the light. Like if it's broad, like if this is in front of it, it's like broad and filling up the whole room. Or it's like a laser almost, like.
Okay.
Direct or indirect light, and this is indirect light. This is that.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So somebody else?
It's like the soft light, maybe it covers all the shape that you have.
Yeah.
And the hard light, it changes the shape.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Somebody else wants to try like a
Well,
Hard light's very directional.
yes, very true.
Soft light's diffused.
Good.
The shadows, the contrast as well.
Exactly.
Soft light is very spread over the whole image,
Yeah.
and then the hard light is very focused on one side.
Alright, cool. Yeah, so pretty much what you said is right. It doesn't have to be so much about now the background. It's just happen to be like different colors. But like, just rather look at this guy's face. The front part of the face is called mask of the face, and his mask is very hard illuminated. And then suddenly there's no roll off or no softness or something, and then there's a border and there's shadow, right? Created by his face itself. What is the property of the light? You're right, it's very directional. Directional means the light source is very tiny. So let's define tiny, because the sun obviously is like super large, but the sun is super far away. This is why it appears in the sky very tiny, right? For example, if you just do this in direct sunlight, you see a big shadow, right? If there's no cloud, so this is why you can tell it's really hard light. So soft light is exactly what you said, like diffused light, and that means that the light source is usually very big, right? A big light source can be a cloud-covered day out in the open. It's just very cloudy, there's sun, but you don't see it directly, it's behind the clouds. So the clouds are like a huge softbox. A softbox is the name for a light modifier which diffuses the light, right? It takes a hard light, put some diffusion material over it like this, and gives up like if it would be a very large light source, right? So it's easier, especially like for cameras, and most people look more flattering in softer light. Sometimes you use a hard light, you know, in order to accentuate contour, like of shape of the face. When do you do it? Usually when you do portraiture or beauty photography, because you want to see the cheekbones, you want to see the flawless skin, but you often have to do a lot of retouching. But there you can use hard light, but it looks beautiful. But those models have like already kind of perfect bone structure and skin texture. That helps a lot in very professional makeup. But you cannot generally say that the hard light looks worse or something, you know. But like that's something how it is. Then what I see often people do is taking a picture during the daylight in open light, and you can call this like the raccoon eyes. So what is going on here is that the light is coming pretty much like from I don't know, is a 180-degree angle from above, and her eye socket, because eyes are usually a little bit recessed, create like a shadow on her eyes and especially on her nose. And you have huge variation in between highlight and shadow details in the face, and that often doesn't look very pleasing, because what looks good in the image often it's about the eyes, and it's like about the catch light, that's called the reflection of the light source in the eyes, which looks very nice and interesting and creates some interest in the images. So if you can, and you have to shoot at 12 daylight, like 12 o'clock during the day, just put your subject in the shadow, because then you're going to have like a even look, right? Even light. In most movies and a lot of scenes, you will see usually a 3-point lighting setup. That's often the basic in cinematography. However, there are some people who take 10 images, 10 strokes, 10 light sources in an image to make something more special. But in general, you have this.
What is 10 strokes?
Strobe light, like an artificial light. That's one light source, you know. And if you do studio photography, sometimes you do something with flying material, which shoots like from multiple angles to get like more texture and structure. You can increase the complexity of your lighting setup a lot. I just wanted to say, so some people use up to 10 light sources and just made up this.
From different angles?
From different perspective, angles, sides, you know, to get some different effects and rim light. However, like the most basic thing is usually like you can take one light source, but like 3 light sources is like usually the basic. So you usually have one key light. The key light is the main light source on the subject, which is illuminating him. His key light is coming from the front, right? And that's pretty much the only light source here. Here you still can see the ear, right? But very dark. So you would call this a fill light, but a very weak fill light. And I would argue that the fill light is just caused by the key light bouncing a little bit in the room around and reflecting off the walls and bouncing a little bit back and opening up the shadows again. If it would be completely a dark room, like black walls and a little bit more controlled lighting environment, he would be 100% black here, right? That's like the key light. The fill light is opening a little bit the shadows usually, and you can play around with these ratios of exposure in order to create like the image you want. For example, if you photograph like a male model, you can work with a little bit more contrast, a little bit more drama, because you want to pronounce his masculinity, for example. But like for a woman, you might want to make her look like very pretty, very dreamy, very emotional or something. You'd rather go with a very flat and soft light, which looks very flattering. Yeah, and here you see like a build up of like 3-point lighting. I forgot the backlight. You can call it backlight or rim light. You either use it to edge out the person from the background. We try to do this later in the streets as well. And then you have one light, which is like the key light, which is illuminating him the most, and a little bit opening the shadows again. This could be done with a small reflector or something.
Is there a difference between the bottom right pictures?
So what?
Is there
Here?
difference?
Yeah, if you come a little bit close, here is very dark, is shadow, you don't see anything, and here it's a little bit more open, but still darker than...
So there's one is no full light, and the other one is full light.
Yeah, in this one you still have the background light, one light from, I would say, not 100% straight, but a little bit from an angle, and then maybe a little bit more light. Could be a very weak light source, or could be a reflective material, like outside, like a white foam cord, which reflects a little bit from the main light back and fills up the shadow. This is why it's called fill light. Alright, that was already the heaviest part, right? But like once you understand that to see light, like that this is not very pleasing, and usually a nice illuminated light, it's more pleasing. If you walk around, you probably start seeing like a white wall where light is reflecting off. So you can use that as your key light or your main light, because the white wall is quite big, you know, compared to the subject, and you can play around with that. So let's put on the next one. So interactive part, seeing the light. So I have my reflector. I need one person. I just point some light at him, and that's it. Somebody, you want to go? Cool. Let me darken it up a bit. Alright. So, if we, for example, use like this LED light, it's bright, so very well like to point it at you. So for example, just see how the light is like changing in his face. Like if we like it's not completely dark, but like it's dark enough, right? But yeah, so so if I'm pointing like the light at him, you see now, just keep on looking at Colin all the time. You see how the light is like slightly wrapping around, right? Now it's like he's like halfway split, and then it's kind of like opening up, right? But see how his nose is creating a very like drawn shadow, right? You can really easily see all the shadows in his light. And this is the typical, it's 12 a.m. Or 12 p.m. Well, like the afternoon light, and you have like the eye sockets in dark, right? And such. So we have to talk not only about quality of light, but also direction of light. Because like if the light is coming from up front, his face is more evenly illuminated, right? So if you can get it like the light is coming somewhat from 45 degrees, like above, that can look very nice, or slightly of an angle. So now you see, the closer I get, the more directional the light usually is, and you see a very pronounced shadow, right? Do you see that? So if you use, like, for example, this diffusion material, and I didn't really try this out, it should increase like the light source, because that shown if it would be nicer, but like it should be bigger than this one, right? It cuts off a little bit of light because this kind of eats up and swallows up a light. So we, in order to get the same exposure, we will have to increase the light of this thingy. But like this is from IKEA, it doesn't do it, right? But like we can do it like this and get like some more even light. And what you should see now, if I'm not in the way, that he has a little bit more. It's not strong enough, but like a little bit more even illumination in his face. And the catch light in his eyes, if you look at those, are usually bigger compared to without, right?
Is the catch light in the white?
It's the white, the white dots in the eyes.
Where the white, is it the white part of the eyes, the dots, or is it the dots in
the black.
In the black one.
The black one. Do that, I think.
Yeah, but like, yeah, but it usually is like in the iris.
Right.
You know why? I guess. But you should see it.
Yeah.
Right? And it should be bigger, like with this, even though it's kind of weak compared to like the
I don't
times.
think it's bigger.
Maybe not so much, but like it doesn't work so much as I intended. But like if it would be like this and it would be a little bit darker and a little bit more diffused, it should be usually rather big.
Yeah, because my eyes would reflect the whole surface of that instead of like only the small surface of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cool. So, when it comes to photographing people, again, like if you find yourself in a lighting situation like this and you can change it, you can do, for example, give a person like the excuse to look up. Right? If you position him against the wall, lean or something, do this with the hair, he naturally goes into like, this is beautiful, right? And then suddenly the raccoon eyes disappear, right? Right? If you look straight, it's like raccoon. If you look a little bit up, there's like evenly illuminated. So you can trick it a bit. Or you have to search like something for a cover from above. So the light from above is like blocked. So only like some side light is spilling through the image, through the arch, and then you can see.
What about this typical ghost light, flashlight?
Yeah. That looks usually rather spooky, and you shouldn't light people from like this because they look more like a bonfire light. So if you ever use like this thingy with a reflective material, what a lot of people do is like the sun is like, let's say, coming from here, and they do it like this, and then they bounce up light from up below at his face. You shouldn't. You should always do the whole like this. It's more difficult, but it looks 10 times better in the images. Good point. Alrighty, I think that's already it from my part. The rest is like a quick assignment. That's cool. Right? Thank you so much for your help.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah. Okay, Tim, put on the screen one more time.
Yes.
Just a quick assignment.
Who put this together?
Okay, beautiful. Can you go one ahead, dude?
Yes. Wait, you get trapped? No.
So, putting it all together, guys, do you have any questions so far? I think there were a lot of obvious things. Some things are sometimes very obvious to some people, sometimes very new to other people. So,
Do you? It's not about what we did, like, but it's a bit different. Like, by filming, I saw some really cool parts when you maybe use the smaller camera, like movie shots.
Yeah.
If you move it a little bit. Like, can you say something to that, or what would you do there?
Yeah. What would you like to know? Like technique-wise, and why I'm doing it, how I'm doing it.
Why you do it,
thing because I'm already holding it like this, and then I already can move, and it's more engaging, I suppose.
Okay.
How I'm doing it, in order to do it with the camera handheld, it helps if the camera has like a good image stabilization system in there. That can be achieved through the lens. Nowadays, like especially the mirrorless cameras, they have a sensor which floats a little bit.
Okay.
This is how it can mitigate some shake. And another thing to stabilize more of your images is to have a more heavy. So you put the battery pack on it, and the heavier things are, the more movement inertia it has, I suppose. And then you can use something like a gimbal, and then you have it almost like 100% steady, or like a flight cam, right? And now how to do this training, because like it looks like a stupid monkey if you walk around like this, but like this sneaky ninja, you know, the crab or something. Yeah, but like if I would walk normal, I would shake. But
what is the best?
Always slower than you think. I don't know. There's no technique. I try to tuck in my arms and like stabilize already like from my ground, and then be a little bit like this, and then try to move like really like sneaky. And the less I shake, the better it is. As a little practice and a little bit of overcoming like stupid walking, right? Anxiety. That's it.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. So, assignment. So we're thinking that we everybody's teaming up, groups of 2. We go out into the streets, and everybody takes some pictures of each other. Everything is allowed. Take what you like, and afterwards I would like to gather like 7 images of every person who's taking images, and we do full body portraitures. That doesn't mean that he only has to be in the picture. You can also put him on a third. You could put it symmetrical. You can use reflection. You can shoot through thing. You should put it all together. And some element we discussed today, leading lines, some lighting, ABCDEFG should be found in the image. And you should try to take the picture like with a thought behind it, just like purposeful, not like snap it, but more like, okay, I like the picture because I was thinking about the lighting, or I like the background, or ABCDEFG. Yeah, so 2 full body portraits, 2 upper body, so like cut it like here, like somewhat like here or like here. Don't have to be the posing, right? And 1 creative, some wild card.
Can you say more about creative? What do you mean creative?
Wow. Random. I will not narrow down the creativity by giving you a frame. Yeah, that's it. You can take a picture of the person in a way you like. I don't know. Him hanging somewhere. I don't know. Or whatever you think is cool. Jumping. I don't know. Cool. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thanks,
Cool.
man.
Now you have to put the work in, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's see what got stick.
Exactly.
Stock stick. Sticky stack.
Yes.
Man, stickers are precious.
I was drunk again. Panda, you fall asleep.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you learned something.
He's so drunk that I haven't even seen him around. When did you get him?
Yeah.
Listen, turn footage.
Yeah. That's
For sure, man. For sure.
Right, let's get a refreshing or a drink or smoke a doobie, and then we can
Really in love with this panda, aren't you?
Guillaume.
But you almost raped him. You almost raped him.
People went in, we had the house was
That's good, right?
sound.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the consent either.
Yeah.
He's
I
just
didn't
like
get
a doesn't know what's happening to his body while
Maybe if you want to
Good. So we team up with, how was it? 2 in a row?
Yeah, 2 people, 7 images.
Oh, nice. You can
Perfect. Rooftop, every boundary, so can we do
Walk around. You can. I would prefer if you guys walk in the streets, but like you can also do it in the boundaries.
How do I film that the best? Do they split up?
We just walk
Just follow.
around.
Yeah. So follow. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
about pizzas.
Yes.
Alright. And people.
the mini assignment. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And so how many classes do you have for this?
Like half an hour or so, right? So we will all go down in a sec.
Wow, that
I think our Instagram of YBF should be just girls with panda, hugging panda.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like fucking best.
It's true.
I think so, actually.
Anyone want to try some of this cake for you?
Ah, you got it?
No.
No.
The sweet cake?
She's pretending.
No, what last thing you said I didn't get, but I got the point.
Ah, right.
Whatever, I got the message anyway.
We got
You know them?
Yeah.
They are responsible that they are that big nowadays. It was a genius trip.
Yes.
You are our first panda girl. Let's do some fucking sexy shots like that. Let's wait, I want to put on Instagram. Let's do it.
Let's fucking do that.
Why doesn't everyone take pictures of Eve and we'll put that on Instagram? And like we all see how to get the best photo of this.
Yes, man.
Let's do
That
some
would be
competition.
fucking good
I'm too
advertising.
lazy to go downstairs.
Yeah, let's get that. Let's get that fat motherfucker up to the rooftop. And we do some shots with the panda.
Yeah, because
Who's teaming up with the panda?
Apparently everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to. It's so fucking good. So, Fritz, come here.
Have you been
How
on?
do I do the best picture of it now?
How do I do this?
How do I do the best picture? I'm in the Instagram thing, yeah? How
and the
far, how much in there?
You have a light too. We can get better lighting.
You should know, you're the photographer.
Okay, good. I do it with the face and her. Like that. Come further left.
You're the artist.
Smells good in here.
Now you look naked, that's good.
You see how unfortunately the panda's head is a little bit blocking the light?
Yes.
Like if you see that, that's something you have to care of.
Oh, her face, yes,
Right?
yes, I see.
But her face is
Oh,
all
nice.
way too dark.
Yeah, you're right, bro. Oh, that's good.
That's a good shot.
Is that too far away?
Man, that's
Does it
good.
do anything?
Doesn't do anything.
But thanks.
Are we going out there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go for it, bro.
Can you get that as well?
Are you ready?
Yeah, let him take some photos, bro.
Yeah, I guess I'm ready.
Easy.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes. I go all hash now. I don't
What
go
did
for
this painting?
Now I discover all hash and then.
friend of Jam.
Do you take a lot of pictures with your phone?
I like it.
Not really.
No?
No.
Why?
I usually shoot a lot of DSLR,
Yeah.
but I haven't shot
They love
about
them.
3 months. And that's like,
Yeah, but you get that.
yeah.
Right? That's strong, right?
Wow. Fucking.
I want to take a picture.
What?
I want to take a picture.
Watching the best friend.
Yes, good.
Like you want to.
Yeah.
Shut up,
It's big.
So we can be the video. No, you're on Instagram. What do you say? You have 5,000 followers. Just waiting. How do I edit it now? I want to tag her.
You want to do it outside?
Taking her?
Maybe
It's so big it doesn't-
Yeah, I was like stories. So sure. That's hard. But it's got bubbles.
And you have a lighter?
I don't.
I'll have a lighter. We can take this one.
What's your
We're going to
Instagram?
take this one.
What's your Instagram handle?
Like FRITZ?
That's one. Two.
Oh, you have 2 accounts?
Start the brand.
Okay, but yeah, I'm not that interested.
What?
Do you have a like personal profile? Awesome.
Get him into it.
I'm not that interested in photography, to be honest.
Yeah.
Nice.
You got to the bad next to
Yeah, but go ahead, please. Help yourself. I think you have
good presentation skills.
Look at the picture.
At the beginning, you feel like it's photo and you make it fun, and I think it's cool that everyone gets to share something.
Say something, right? So I know what where you guys at.
It's
a nice presentation.
Thank you.
Are you going? You've got a pat on your head. Did you notice?
Nice to meet you.
Are we going on to take pictures?
Yeah, we're gonna get ready and then we suit up and go down.
Let's suit up now, yeah. Now I can play with the story, right? And say that's your best friend, not me, that's your best
I
friend.
want your help.
But we can play the story now.
So on my way here, I stopped by and I saw the coolest plant and I was trying to take a picture of it.
Yeah.
It looks like shit.
What don't you like about it?
The lighting, so because that's my problem in this dark alley, so everything is counter light. So when you find something interesting right here, then it just doesn't quite reflect. So this is 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
So I like to pick your brain and see how you use it.
So what don't you like? The lighting you say, but can you be more precise? What do you like?
It's actually
it's very.
dries up pretty fast.
It takes out the quality of the plant.
Okay, because it's too bright over there.
Yeah, and I was trying to catch all the light of it, like this might be
I still have these two here, because it's somewhere where I can't really reach when I'm brushing. So I'm gonna have this like for months.
Okay.
So it's really close. And
so it's from the other angle.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to sit there and show you.
So I can go take a look.
And that was like 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. right?
Yeah, that's when I was walking in.
Shortly before the camera, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like often it's like time of the day. So in this particular situation, you have it's called like a high dynamic range. So dynamic range means like that this part of the image is much darker than this part of the image, right? So and this is kind of like where you put money like with these camera which
edit photos in your story?
But what you can do with your phone, like you go at different times of day, like very early in the morning, or right now, or so a lot of people,
there's a retweet app,
especially for landscape photography, people utilize this for blue hour.
Like if it is
like 45 minutes after the sun. And why it's so pleasing to the eye? Because like the ambient light,
checking out your best friend,
environment, street windows, shopping lights, this kind of thing, have the same. Yeah,
an app that actually does that. How many people use that?
Right, actually, you have like this nice little colors. And yeah, you should try this. You know, very early in the morning when the sun is like very, very steep on an angle, it can maybe look very nice.
Cool.
After time of the day,
that is
so could be that it looks nice.
Who knows Instagram?
Who
knows Instagram
quite
here?
reflected as the
She
how
does. You
this
do?
thing is like just falling off of the building.
That's 5,000.
Another thing, sometimes you can change the time of the day.
How do you edit an Instagram photo,
Yeah.
or like can I tag somebody else here, or do I have
You
to
reshare it now, or what is that? Or you already sent it?
Here I tag this.
My best
Yeah.
friend is
I want to tag it
your
here
best friend
too.
is
Afterwards, no. But like once you do it, yes.
Okay, so I should just delete and post it, repost it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And put it on top of it
I
again.
don't want to take photos. Yeah, me too.
I just wanted to add, Rebecca, if you take a picture and you cannot change the time of the day because you're only there once, and you cannot change the light, you know, it looks like an easy say full day, happy or something like that. But what you can do, so if you take the phone and you
I just
function,
deleted
press on the very right part of the image,
from my
and you
fucking
can
phone.
dial down like the sun,
Fuck this shit.
the exposure. You have this on your phone?
Is the joint still living?
Yeah, but is it just
I didn't smoke.
like for example if I'm taking a picture of you,
Just
like,
go a little bit over the map. Let's go on to the back one. Yeah. If you take, just hold it down into the, like a, it goes there and makes the brightness, and you can pull the sun there. There you go.
Right, my story.
Pull the sun.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Shoot it.
Oh,
look at this, look at this, look at this.
There's pandas all over Instagram.
Shadow markers.
So what you
This is the
if you're really, really into stabilize
So cool.
Look,
It sounds like what you do.
on the clouds.
It is what I do.
No, but like I mean in terms of like your these are going to like repost
Take
it.
another picture.
This is the
Another
guy.
image like this, where you have.
Can't stop, won't stop. Hell yeah. And they have really good designs here. I like this.
Spanish?
I did.
Okay, cool. How was it?
Well, it was so fun, like, or funny, because like, I wasn't there the last lesson, then I came back, and the teacher owned gave us the things that they did last time and so on. Like, I just whipped them up really fast, and then like, teacher, like, when they were asking, Anders, do you want to try? Yeah, I can try. And I just read the whole fucking paragraph like better than half of the class. Like,
You sound so cool.
Yeah, like you have to be very careful on aligning. But in Photoshop you can over align it perfectly. Like if it's perfectly aligned.
I mean, this gives the whole new meaning to French kissing. Like,
Oh.
He's just trying to eat me.
You know, no, it's one click on the computer, it flips together. Maybe there's a better like if you have it basically like this.
Alright, I'm gonna get some ice cream now.
Yes, me too.
Then you have like a
Sweet.
right?
Me too.
Me too.
Me too. Let's please.
What?
Here.
Go.
Do you have a
Like this, what do I do? I can do this.
What do I do?
Yeah, awesome. Sounds good.
Or should I use the pre-set?
You're great team. You're like so creative and I guess like kind of creative team.
Oh, das mit der Sonne hast du gezeigt. So, ich kenne das so.
Ja, genau. Hätte er dunkler machen.
Ah, das wird so.
Ja, der geht jetzt immer auf den Punkt, wo wenn du da zu den Dunklen gehst, dann belichtet er für das Dunkle.
Alright,
Wenn
great
du
shooting.
oder so, dann belichtet er es für das Helle.
Was ist das hier?
Achso, das ist die, ja, das ist es. Ja, genau.
Ah, das ist die Sonne. Und was ist das? Der Fokus? Bleib mal stehen.
Ja.
Der Fokus auf den, muss die Sonne hier oben rein. Ja, ich mach die Sonne runter. Ja. Ich mach den Fokus von hier weg auf die Pflanze.
You're taking a picture or a video?
Krass! No, just playing around, no pictures.
I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
I think I heard that you
That's
don't
low.
have an iPhone, so you don't.
No, but like probably not.
Yeah, so like I used to have this very crappy phone before that took awful pictures, and now I have this, but I'm just like, still like I just like adjust the brightness depending, but
We just tried, we just found this one, like the before of the sun, and make it more dark and more bright, according to what you like. Just, yeah, if you have it like this, and then you have the sun. And yeah, you can make it brighter or darker. Because like if you take a picture of somebody, and the sun is coming from behind, it's really bright. So the camera always tries to make something in the middle, right? He's like very yeah, but he's very mathematical, and he thinks like if I make it medium gray, he will be happy, right? But what he doesn't know is that for this particular image, the face is much more important. So you want to have a nice exposure that the skin tone looks good. So what you probably do, overexpose in the background. That's too bright. Because you have to choose, you know. Either you make the face too dark and the background okay, or the face okay, but the background too bright. And this is you do the sun, right?
From what you're saying, I feel like there's like better moments in the day to, like especially outside. It's mainly about like choosing the moment of the day where you.
And the position.
And what, so at the moment, it's like you talked about the blue hour,
yes,
but also like, I don't know if you...
Golden hour. Golden hour is like about 45 minutes before the sun is setting, or after the sun has set.
This is like the best moment around sunset.
Yeah.
with this space. She's and when I started working, I also